It is Backyard Brawl week, and there are a ton of storylines heading into this game on September 16th at Mountaineer Field. Is Neal Brown's job on the line? I think that's one of the major storylines heading into this game. I've got an article that talks about that, be giving a prediction on the game, and a lot more right after this word from our sponsor. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, guys, and welcome in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. You have landed at another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. It is Backyard Brawl week, guys. We're all excited. I think a little bit nervous. Always comes with the territory when a rivalry of this magnitude is happening. It'll be the last time it's happening for a few more years unless they can work something else out on the schedule. And there's a bunch of storylines I want to focus on. Obviously, we're going to break down the game some, but also I saw an article from Mike Osti. I think I'm going to do that first and then do a game breakdown after. Going to want to get your comments on that. It's early in the video, and I kind of want you guys to hear this. I want to know if you think this article is fair, foul. Do you agree with it? Is it too early to say? Let's get into it. Mike Osti says, it will all come down to the backyard brawl for Neal Brown at WVU. It all comes down to this. Neal Brown and his legacy at West Virginia University, maybe even the future at West Virginia program, may come down to what happens in the 2023 backyard brawl. That might sound strong for some. And in all reality, it's almost impossible to say one single game is all that matters for a coach or program. But that's also how important WVU's upcoming matchup with Pitt is to the Mountaineers. When two historic programs play, the game matters to a certain degree. When there's some bad blood between the fans and players, it turns up the heat even more. And when there are major moments of the past that will stand the test of time, the game comes one people who normally don't follow either team care about. Not that it even needs said, Backyard Brawl is all that and more. However, the 2023 brawl isn't about the past. It's very much about the here and now, and it's no secret that Brown's seat becomes warmer and warmer with every loss. He owns an overall losing record in his fifth year as the head coach, and West Virginia fans want to win, and they want more from him. They don't want to hear excuses about how unfair the schedule has been, even if he's right. They just want their beloved Mountaineers to win and get West Virginia to start feeling like the 15th winningest program again. It's difficult to compare eras, but if success is a barometer, it's a fact that Neal Brown era stands as one of the worst periods for Mountaineers since before Don Nehlen took over. There's no one still trusting the climb. Everyone wanted it to work. Most experts thought WVU hiring Brown was a home run back in 2019. But Brown at West Virginia hasn't worked out, at least not yet. Brown does have some big wins and nice moments to his credit. He did get West Virginia a win over Oklahoma last season, the first for the school over the Sooners since joining the Big 12, and I'll add Oklahoma State to that. I still felt that was a pretty big win. That was something fans desperately wanted to claim for Oklahoma before Oklahoma left to the SEC. Brown did win at the Liberty Bowl after the 2020 season. You can even say he was the head coach when WVU won the Black Diamond Trophy in back-to-back years. But no single victory comes close to what beating Pitt would do to his legacy. Let that all sink in and really try to understand what a win in the 2023 Backyard Brawl could mean for Neal Brown. But now think about a loss, too. A loss, and it's the same old story of Brown's tenure. It's close, but no cigar like last season. It's another loss on the resume, and another year WVU fans have to hear about why Pitt is better. Possible even from some of their friends, colleagues, and neighbors. Moral victories don't exist, but they especially don't exist when it comes to a rivalry. How do you get the win? Doesn't matter either. Just win, baby. Wow. That was a mouthful. Well-written article by Mike Ostie at WVSportsNow.com. I'll put a link in the description to that article if you want to read it. Very well written. It's a little over the top for me as far as the make or breakness of it. I think Neal Brown has a little wiggle room even if he loses this game. And obviously it's a team effort. It's not just Neal Brown, but we know that the onus falls on the head coach. And a lot of the decisions that Brown has made have led to people even jumping more onto that, considering he's been really hesitant to make coaching changes. He's been really hesitant to make certain philosophy changes. He was basically, we think, told to hire Graham Harrell as an offensive coordinator. So there are several things that we feel as a fan base that Neal Brown has done that has kind of warranted some of the things that have fallen onto his shoulders. But to answer the question that Mike Ostie is basically asking, is Neal Brown's job on the line? I'm going to say no, not yet. Now, a loss in the Backyard Brawl would put him incredibly high behind the eight ball. And the way Ostie broke it down, now listen to me for a second here. This will be the narrative if he loses this game. Your only win this year, and your 1-2, is against an FCS opponent that you struggled for almost two quarters against until a weather delay ignited the team. Now, we were obviously a better team, but it's not a great look. And so it makes you wonder just how much hotter does that seat get if he does lose? Obviously, he still has game ahead of him, and there's no way they're firing him early in the middle of the season. He's also got a big buyout a lot of people talk about, but at the end of the day, I don't even think that would matter if he continues to lose. Texas Tech has not played well yet. We got them coming up. You lose to them, you start to think maybe the 14th or 15th or whatever it was overall prediction, last in the Big 12, starts to look right. And if that comes true or to fruition, it's going to be a long year for us, and it's going to be a rough year for Brown, who will be fired maybe before the season even ends. Maybe Chad Scott gets to take the reins, which is, I think, a lot of us would like to see. All right, guys, we all know what time it is now. It's going to be time for a Backyard Brawl preview. I wasn't able to secure a guest for this week, so I'm just going to do it myself. I've had a lot of time to watch film. I've had a lot of time to break this thing down, and I think I've got a pretty good idea of how this thing is going to play out. I'm really confident in how I feel this week, but I do look through this with, gold and blue colored glasses. So it's at the end of the day, there's always going to be some bias to predictions, although I try to be as objective as I possibly can. Not always easy to do. Let's start on the Pitt side of things, guys. And when the first thing I recognized when I looked at Pitt and the remaining players they have was really the two losses that I feel are the biggest losses for Pitt. In the backfield, Abanikanda is gone at running back. He's an explosive player. And then Kalijah Cansey at defensive tackle, who most felt could possibly be the best defensive tackle we went up against last year. Zach Frazier really played well against him, by the way. Plays well against everybody. Those guys are gone. The two starting safeties are being replaced. But this is a proud Pitt program that has won 20 games over the last couple seasons. Back-to-back top 25 finishes. I think as West Virginia fans, we would take that all day right now, the way things have gone for us. So certainly Pitt has been the better program in the last couple of years, as bad as we hate to say it. And they're replacing another quarterback. Keaton Slovis is in BYU now, who played well in his first game. Enter Phil Jerkovich, who obviously had a monster year in 2020 at Boston College with Frank Cignetti as his offensive coordinator. A lot of people thought that was a match made in heaven, obviously, with him coming back to meet with Frank Cignetti, the offensive coordinator now at Pitt. Things haven't gone according to plan so far. 10 for 32 is the number on him so far this year. And to be honest, guys, he doesn't look like the same guy that I saw at Boston College in 2020. He just doesn't. He's got a lot of athletic gifts. He's got a really strong arm. He does make the occasional wow throw. He's got mobility in the pocket, but he's certainly not anywhere near like a Drew Aller, who was just really mobile, a guy that was really good at moving around to throw the ball. Jerkovich is a little bit sluggish, more sluggish. But he can certainly, if you're not paying attention, make you miss, dance around, make a throw, things like that. And he's more like Big Ben, just a little bit slower, in my opinion. In the backfield behind Jerkovich, there's a trio of guys that they really like. Flemister, Daniel Carter, and Rodney Hammond. Rodney Hammond was supposed to be the starter to begin the year. He just hasn't looked like it through 2 games, and word out of Pitt camps is they might be looking to one of the other 2 guys or maybe somebody else to step in and possibly be a spark for them. Or maybe they keep rolling with Hammonds and it's just a newer kind of offense for them. Remember, guys, Mark Whipple was their offensive coordinator a couple of years ago. They flipped to Cignetti, and, they're in the quarterback change. It's just a lot of change going on for them on offense right now. And I think that's probably why a lot of the issues are happening. So look for the more simplified version of offense for the Pitt Panthers moving forward until they can get a little bit better grasp on the scheme there, even though Jerkovich is supposed to have one. Pitt's wide receiver room, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's better than the Mountaineers' wide receiver room, at least on paper. Kanata Mumpfield is a dog. You should remember him from last year. Mason Fairchild's a dog at tight end. I really like those 2 players. They would start most places in the country, guys. Those are both really good players. Bub Means is a guy that they really thought was going to break out. For whatever reason, he hasn't broke out. They're still waiting on him to do so. He's only got 2 catches on the year. And Dajion Reynolds, who's a guy I love. He's a transfer from Florida. The Mountaineers were in it on him, but he's from the Pittsburgh area. That's why he chose Pitt over West Virginia. I'm a big fan of his route running, guys. Look for Dajion Reynolds in this game. I'm a big fan of how he runs routes. On defense, guys, this is a Pitt defense that is replacing guys at all levels of the defense. Remember, Elijah Cansey's gone on to defensive line. The starting middle linebacker is gone. Both starting safeties are gone. I think that's why you see them having trouble to stop the run. Cincinnati ran wild over them last week. The LSU transfer in the backfield for them absolutely destroyed them, guys, in the first half anyway. They did shore up the defense in the second half. I do think this is something the Mountaineers can exploit, but we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. A name Mountaineer fans will remember in infamy forever is MJ Devonshire. He comes back in the secondary. Dayon Hayes is on the defensive line. He's their best player with 2 sacks. And then Bengali Kamara is a guy at linebacker that really stood out last year to me, and I think he's probably their best defensive player. From other articles I've read, a lot of people feel the same, and I think he's probably going to be the heat-seeking missile to look out for in those intricate blitz packages that Narduzzi likes to throw at offenses. He's the guy to watch for in that situation. As far as West Virginia goes, we know what it is, guys. But for Pitt fans that are watching the show, obviously Garrett Green steps in at quarterback, replacing JT Daniels. And it's been up and down for Garrett Green this year. Deep balls only so far this year, guys. Short passes and intermediate passes have not been his thing yet. Although he had a really good game against an FCS opponent last week, we need to see it against better competition. Look for C.J. Donaldson in the backfield this game, guys. I really feel like he's going to do a better job this year protecting himself on the low-end shots. I know he was nicked up in a couple of games already here and there, but I really feel like he's improving overall. Pitt is going to be keying on him hard. Look for Garrett Green to utilize his really, really good deep ball ability. You guys got to look for guys like Devin Carter. Maybe Horton it's the game that he really breaks out. Where it is, he's probably going to be healthy for the game. Polk, you saw him get Jayshon Polk, the transfer from Kent State. It seemed like he was getting acclimated a little bit last week. And then obviously last week's star, Hudson Clement, looks to build on what was an amazing performance last week when he caught 3 touchdowns on deep bombs from Garrett Green. Really looking to see how he can fill in. Maybe he becomes a dude, guys. Maybe he really is an elite talent that's just starting to break out. I'd like to see him against a little bit better than FCS competition, obviously. On the offensive line, it's obvious, guys. Zach Frazier is one of the very best in the country, if not the best. Wyatt Milam graded out as the highest lineman on the team last week. You know what it is, guys. These are the guys to look for on offensive line. Doug Nestor, Tomas Rimac, all dudes. We know what to expect from our guys. Cornerback, every Mountaineer fan is worried about the corner position. Worst overall talent on the team. At least that's how it looks so far. Maybe these things are technical in nature and we just don't know it. But to me, it's a combination of oversimplified scheme and a little bit outmanned. Beanie Bishop, the transfer from Minnesota, has really been good so far. He should have about 3 interceptions. He dropped a couple at Penn State that could have really turned the game around. He seems to be settling into his role a little bit. Andrew Wilson Lamp is a guy that's a big, long, and athletic kid that we're waiting to break out a little bit more. Aubrey Burks could be the best overall player on the defense. At safety is a guy that most people are really, really impressed with and has an NFL future. Sean Martin has absolutely took another step this year at defensive end, guys. He truly looks like one of the best defensive linemen in the conference. Mike Lockhart at nose has really stepped it up, guys. West Virginia's defensive line is so vastly underrated right now that I think a lot of people don't realize it. They're just so underrated. Who is the impact player for West Virginia in this game? Well, honestly, guys, I think it's going to be whoever is playing running back. I don't really care which one it is. At the end of the day, you look at Pitt's defense, they're replacing Kalijah Cansey, one of the best defensive tackles in the ACC, starting middle linebacker and 2 safeties. The middle of the defense is all but gone. So it's either going to be a running back or one of the faster wide receivers that's going to be star in this game on the West Virginia side, assuming that Garrett Green gets the football off. With that said, if he's healthy, I think this is the week Traylon Ray breaks out for the West Virginia Mountaineers. If he's healthy, I think he's got a chance to be the best receiver on this team this year. Who wins and why? Well, I think the West Virginia Mountaineers win this game, guys. I really do. As you know, I've been hard on the Mountaineers and pick-ems here lately, but this is a game I think the Mountaineers are clearly better in. Now, the Panthers coming off a loss could be extremely motivated, and West Virginia hasn't shown much yet. But I feel like the Mountaineers are the better team, and I'm going to pick the Mountaineers to win 37-21. That's my prediction. It's not going to make some of the Pitt fans happy, but that's how I truly feel. You can call me biased if you want to, guys. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't liked the video, guys. As always, drop a comment below and let me know your score prediction. And as always, subscribe to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for all you do. This has been another episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, guys. This episode is over. I am out.
This is for Cameron. Cameron.